All right, everyone. Our first guest for today is an interior designer with a unique background in business and data analytics. Principal designer of Erica U Designs, Erica Dike, is joining us to share her unique perspective on designing for experience, discovering your personal style, and designing timeless spaces. But first, we'll get to know her background, and her data driven approach to design. Welcome to the show, Erica.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, yes. So you are an ex business analyst turned interior designer. When did you decide that interior design was your passion, and how have you used your prior experience in your new career?
I always really enjoyed interior design, but it was more of like just something I did for myself. At the time when I was working as a business analyst, I got into the Air BnB field. And when I was in there, I had to design my own listings so that they could be profitable. So I think just doing that at the same time and then hearing my coworkers complain about like the holidays and having to host guests and stuff like that, it made me realize that designing a space is not something that comes easy to everybody. And this was a skill that I could share with others. My approach to design is a lot different from interior designers just simply because of my background. I do kind of like a data driven approach to it. So when I'm designing the space, I'm collecting information. So if I'm designing a residential space, I like to know about the client, what they want to see, how they want to feel, what things do they enjoy. Sometimes it's just like they know the feeling of what they want in the space, but they don't know the design. So just using my analysis mind and like analyzing the space, I'm able to provide design solutions to them.
I absolutely love that. And you provide interior design services for busy professionals, like you mentioned earlier, more specifically for those in the short term rental markets and home design. I know you touched on it a little earlier, but could you walk us through the customer journey when they book with you and their experience when they book your design services?
Yeah, sure. So, again, my clients are busy professionals, so the whole experience from beginning to end is tailored to them. I only do flat fee design, so we are not having to look at how many hours we're spending each week and going back and billing and billing and billing. You kind of know upfront how much it's going to
Wonderful.
cost. I also have a system that I use to design the space. So typically my turnaround time is 4 to 6 weeks. So because you know that amount of time, you know how much it's going to cost you to, design it. Everything is kind of, I don't know the word I'm trying to use. There's no variables. So everything is kind of set in stone before we start working, just because my clients are busy. So they don't have time to keep up with small details or making design decisions like, oh, do you like this color palette or this color palette? I'm going to show you something that goes in line with the data that we collected beforehand. It's going to cost what you knew it was going to cost beforehand, and you're going to spend what you knew you were going to spend beforehand.
Nice. So your clients can expect consistency and results every single time. Just
Yes.
like when we think of data, consistency of
Yes.
results every single time. That is
Exactly.
awesome.
Exactly.
That is awesome. All right. All right. And, often when we hear design, some people think of simply decorating or coordinating a few pieces, but your approach marries data and designing for experience. Once again, I know you touched on some of that earlier, but could you elaborate on how you marry that data and design?
Yeah,
To
sure.
coordinate?
So it's really more prevalent in my short-term rental projects. Um, Again, I'm not going to design the space based on what I think is going to look good. I like to find out their business goals, revenue-wise, how much they're wanting to pull in a year, a month, how much they're wanting to list their property per
Oh, wow.
night.
So it's, wow.
And we design to meet that goal. So if I know you want to charge, let's say $800 a night, then I know what value I need to input in your space to attract your target market so you can meet those revenue goals. You want to get your ROI, your return on interest. So if I am suggesting X, Y, and Z design that's going to cost 50K, it's because I know that you can make that back based on how your target market is going to see your property and book it. With residential spaces, there's not much like metrics data that I use, but I will say I like to ask them, how do you want to feel in the space? What do you do at work? Are you on your feet all day? That means when you come home, you probably want a really long sofa that you can lay on that's longer than your height, or you want a sectional that you can elevate your feet. But there's important, feelings and elements that we want to consider outside of just style and color and shade and stuff like that.
That is amazing. So it's really a comprehensive approach. I like that, especially as a busy professional myself. Um, you know, knowing colors and stuff is one thing, but functional design,
Yeah.
'cause that's what design is all about, functionality. I do love your approach there. So that is great. And then now we're going to get into personal style. So some of us know that a part of design is having personal style. For me, I consider my personal interior design style as minimalist meets coastal chic. Thus, why there's gray, everything, very neutral tones everywhere for me. Would you care to share your thoughts and expertise on discovering personal style in interior design?
Yeah. Personal style for me, again, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but my spaces, if you look at my work, they don't have a specific like style. When you look at it, you're not going to see, oh, this is all modern, or this is what's another one? Modern farmhouse. I like to create timeless spaces because trendy spaces, if we go by style, you're going to get tired of it after a while. But in a timeless space, it's not really a look, it's more of a feel. So when you walk into that space, for example, with this living room, I wanted it to feel like a hug. So even though you don't really know like what styles are in it, seeing all the pieces together created a certain feeling. So with personal style, I want people to not be scared or feel like they had to identify the name of the style, but more so, how do you as a person feel? A lot of times I look at people's wardrobe because the colors that they're gravitated to wear, they're mostly colors that they want to see in their space. Sometimes people can wear a lot of leather, so maybe they would prefer an industrial chic space with a leather sofa or leather accent chairs. Also, where people go on their own, like if they like going out to eat in like posh lounges, they'd probably want their living room to feel like that. So I think you should really, when you are trying to develop or determine your personal style, you should think about what you like to be around, what places you're gravitated to, what colors make you happy, what colors make you comfortable, and what things you wouldn't mind seeing a lot of. Because you can see like a minimalist style on Pinterest and you love it, but when you try to replicate that in your space, you won't be connected to it because that's somebody else's design. It looked good, you could appreciate it, but you wouldn't appreciate living in that space because it's not your personal style.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for those gems. And we don't have a lot of time, but before you leave, would you care to share a couple of tips with our viewers on how to, again, design those timeless spaces?
It always include like personal things. So if you traveled a lot and you maybe got a lot of blankets in different countries, like homemade blankets, displaying those in a tasteful way in your living area or even in your bedroom is always going to make you remember those trips, so you'll fall in love over and over again because you never get tired of seeing things that you enjoyed. So I would say a huge tip is just to pull in things that you love, like you personally, into your space. I may not love it, but when I show up to your house or your office, I want to ask you about it. So it becomes a conversational piece. So that would be my tip. Just pull in personality into your space.
I love that. Thank you so much, Erica, for joining us today and sharing so many tips. If our viewers want to reach you and follow you, where should they find you?
I am on Instagram at Erica OOH Designs, Erica U Designs, and online at www.ericahooh.com.
Awesome. Thank you so, so much.
No, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Anytime.